Hey guys, I've been wanting to make something like this for a hot second. I don't even know what this is, but just wanting to change up my approach with what I'm sharing with you guys. I'm going for like a bridge between TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. It feels like really inauthentic for me to just like post like trending audio or whatever on Instagram. It's just not my jam. I really want to show y'all more of myself and my personality. You'll hear lots of animals in the background and just kind of have it be more informal and just sort of talk about myself, random topics. I love to talk. I used to get in trouble in school. They would be like, "That's why your name's Gabby, because you gab so much." So just going to be giving y'all a little dab a gab here and just sharing more about my story, about my sister, about what I do for work, just kind of like where I'm at in terms of my relationship with the gym, with food, with my body. And I've come a long way, and I feel like I've worn a lot of hats in a short amount of time. I've been on the more like orthorexic side. I've been more on like the binge eating side, right? So just now finding a place of balance and that gray area and that happy medium is everything. And I'm really proud of it. And I almost had to fail my way to get where I am. And if you're right now struggling and you feel like you're alone and you're not sure what's next for you, I've been there. If you know that like maybe dieting isn't what you want to do for the rest of your life and you don't want to be consumed by how much weight you can lose, but you don't know what to do next to break out of that. That's kind of like where I found myself stuck for a long time. And I felt like I was wearing two masks, right? Because like I am a person who is in the gym, in the fitness space. I am a nutritionist and I should have known better. And there was so much like shame with my struggle. And I felt like I shouldn't be struggling because I had all of the, knowledge of food and how to fuel myself properly, but yet I still struggled so much. And yeah, it's a process and it's still work every single day for sure. But I feel like going back to maybe when my sister passed away, that was 2015. I would say that was just like obviously such a big pivotal time for me in my life. But just to like give you guys a timeline of sort of where I've been in my journey and just those different phases that I've gone through with food and with training. I tried to get into the gym after she passed away as just like a coping mechanism. And we weren't super active growing up. We always rode horses competitively and we boxed a little bit for fitness here and there, but I was not an athlete by any means. And, I didn't really have a lot of body issues. I didn't have parents who made me feel, like conscious about my body or food. I'm very grateful for that because I do know a lot of people struggle with their parents and just what they've been brought up and told and the almond moms, right? But yeah, I didn't get into fitness until after she passed away. And I really enjoyed it and just felt such a calling to it and wanting to, take my sister's struggle with her food and body and everything that she was dealing with and turn it into something powerful, right? Like turning pain to purpose. And that was my like good intention with it and just got so lost in the sauce along the way, right? So I kind of went into it blind and just figured it out as I went. And like I think a lot of us, like we just sort of start going to the gym and just hop on a treadmill, think that we just kind of have to start like eating healthier. There's not really like a guideline of what to do other than cardio and just eat healthy and eat clean, right? So I lost weight relatively easily that first time, like most of us do, because our bodies are not familiar with what dieting is. There's still that body trust. So if you're in a calorie deficit and you're primed for it, essentially, you're going to lose weight. And then I feel like a lot of us find ourselves where we're plateauing. Those things that we were doing are no longer working for us, right? You're getting frustrated. And then you start to like not be able to celebrate your progress. And I think that that's like the shift that it starts to make where it's like not fun anymore. And you're starting to be more hard on yourself and you're starting to like bring in more of those standards and those demands. At least I did. And I also had such a physical job. Like my job in the gym required me to be so active all of the time and rely so much on like, or at least this is what I was putting on myself, relying on what like my body looks like to make me get validation or feel worthy or qualified in my career, which is silly. But yeah, so I kind of just went all in on fitness and I've been in the fitness industry ever since. I was in group fitness, I've done personal training, I've done boxing. So I'm pretty like well versed, I would say, when it comes to stuff like that. that, and I enjoy a lot of different types of training. I worked with CrossFit athletes for a long time. That was like my first nutrition coaching position, and then just kind of shifted more into like macros and meal plan. And I was definitely struggling at this time as well too, right? Because like my job was nutrition, so it was just so consuming. Like it just felt like everything, and it was so easy for me to become so fixated and obsessed with food and with exercise, where I really wasn't grieving, and I wasn't using that time, like I said, to turn that pain to purpose. I was using it as a way to just like not think about the hard things and to not sit with those uncomfortable emotions, and really started to use food and exercise as that way to like mask myself from the pain, and just kind of put those like walls up and think that if I was helping other people, then I would feel better, but I wasn't looking at myself. And I just started to put myself like lower and lower on the totem pole, right? And then because I was like unhappy in other aspects of my life, that's when like exercise just became so much more obsessive, and I was like not able to just sit, and like my job was so like active all of the time that if I had a day off, I would start to binge eat inevitably, right? Because your body, you cannot be in a place of dieting all of the time. Like we are animals, right? So if you're around food, it's almost like a primal need to overeat. And I started getting myself more into that like cycling of restriction and binging. And like I said, at times I would be more restrictive, at times I would be more on the binge eating side. I just really couldn't seem to find a happy medium. And also I was still tracking my macros and stuff too, and just really just trying to be like, what's wrong with you, Gabby? Why are you not disciplined enough? You just need to work harder. And obviously like that wasn't the case. My cat is going crazy right now. Oh my God. That's so funny. Anyways, what was I even talking about? How am I doing so far, guys? I'm just trying to like let it come out as it's coming out with you, and just be myself and just let my freak flag fly a little bit. And yes, okay, so let's fast forward. I moved to North Carolina, and that's kind of a big turning point in all of this for me, because coming from South Florida, where I was so like exposed all the time, just training in sports bras and shorts, and just again, it was pressure that like I put on myself to feel like I needed to look stage lean 24/7. People would ask me if I was competing because I was just like lean and living that type of a lifestyle when I really didn't have to, and just in such an extreme deficit type of a mindset, right? So moving here and just going through the first winter where I was like realizing that I didn't have to be shredded all of the time, and I started to just like kind of relax in the gym and have like a different mindset in training. And I decided that I wanted to like finally let go of just dieting. I was sick and tired of it. It was so much, and just kind of like shift into just more balance, at least like I was trying to. And I decided to go through my first bulk, and that was super uncomfortable. I hated it, and it was because I knew that like I was stuck in that restrictive and binge loop, that I needed to just allow myself to eat more food. And I think that that was like a really big turning point for me, because I felt such a difference in my body. I got so strong, but I was really uncomfortable the whole time. Like I really, really was so uncomfortable the whole time, and I felt like foreign in my body almost. And yeah, I, after that, kind of shifted and went back into tracking macros, sort of like lost a little bit of weight, was just trying to find a good groove, because I just kind of wasn't like finding a good rhythm here, if I'm being honest. I was trying a bunch of new gyms and just didn't feel like I found like my people, my community. Like work wasn't the best situation for me. I was just burnt out kind of at work and didn't feel great, and just knew that like I didn't want to keep putting so much energy into dieting and tracking macros, and I just wanted to like exist, you know? And I had always kind of felt like a pull to want to do like deeper type of work with clients. Like I've always done the meal plans and things like that, where it was pretty surface level, but I could see so much that people were struggling deeper than just wanting to lose 5 or 10 pounds, just like I was as well, and weren't able to like see that or express that or come into that saying like, hey, I'm not doing great right now, and being able to like approach just weight loss in a different way, and not like relying so much on numbers and the scale to tell people how they felt. But whatever, I was coaching, and I decided that I wanted to make the shift into like intuitive eating as well too, and just tried to like let go of tracking my macros that I was doing for so long. But I just knew that I needed to make that shift because I was so obsessed with my MyFitnessPal. I was so obsessed with my Apple Watch. I was so like reliant on those things just to make me feel like stable, I guess, and those like sense of control, and just like the habit of all of it too. But like thinking about it, where what did people do before Apple Watches existed? What did people do before MyFitnessPal existed? Even with social media, right? Like just to see how rigid things have gotten. And it's just because we have these amazing tools now accessible to us. But I always say like a hammer is a great tool or it could be a bad tool. And I just was using all of these things and it became just a coping mechanism, and it was not positive or conducive to the life that I wanted to live. I looked in the mirror and I like was not happy with myself, and that's not like who I am. And I knew that in my core, that just that like little light was there, and that I had just been taken over by a lot of the noise and the ED self, like that we like to recognize it as in coaching, was just in the driver's seat, and Gabby, the true Gabby, was in the trunk. So I started to like wean myself off of tracking my macros and things like that. And it was hard and it was uncomfortable at first. And I didn't like to look at myself in the mirror too much. I tried to not body check. I really tried to just stay neutral about the situation and just trust that like all of the knowledge that I had from tracking macros, from what like my body was telling me, was what I needed to focus on right now. And I really dove into like recovery and was trying to like get to the root of my eating with I was trying to get to the root of my binge eating, and started to read the book Brain Over Binge, was listening to a bunch of podcasts, and just trying to like really be like, okay, Gabs, like what is going on here and what do you want to do with your life? Like you need to make some changes. I know it's scary, but like something's got to give, and just started to like be okay with intuitive eating a lot more, and just starting to try to match food with my training more. And it was a process, and I slowly started to you're going to hear him in the litter box, slowly started to introduce more fear foods that I had restricted or binged or had only allowed myself to have on X, Y, and Z days or at X, Y, and Z times. I really tried to focus more on whole foods. So if I wanted to, binge or something, I would allow myself to have something that was whole foods, because I think a lot of the times we want to binge on like processed foods or, like the sweets or savories or things like that. But really like no one wants to binge eat. And that's like the difference between binging and other eating disorders, is there's like a feeling of almost pleasure or dopamine after whatever, purging or having your diet be like an extended amount of hours before in between each meal. You're like happy that you're able to stretch your meal times, where binge eating, like as soon as it's over, you don't feel good. Like overeating doesn't feel good. We are not meant to like naturally want to overeat, right? But so that like was a big light bulb moment for me, was also seeing that like my thoughts and my urges like weren't demands. Like I was just starting to actually listen to what was going on in my head and not feel like I needed to just listen to it blindly. Like I was able to challenge a lot of those limiting beliefs and urges that came up and implement different tools and state shifters to help me break that cycle. And once I started to feel that momentum, I was like, oh, she's back. She's got this. So I hope that like what I'm saying so far is making sense. I really didn't have like a plan going into this of what I wanted to talk about, what I wanted to say. I was just kind of gonna wing it, if I'm being honest. I wanted this to just feel like a in between of short form content and long term content, something that you could like just listen to while you're taking a walk or while you're driving. I find that like when I'm doing things around the house, or sometimes if I'm feeling like I have a lot of noise in my head, just listening to a podcast or someone talk is very like soothing, and it helps me kind of like come back and recenter myself. But I wanted to just give you guys at least a few like takeaways from today. One of them being just that you're not the only one that struggles and deals with a lot of these things. Like I think so much of us feel like we are the only ones. We are so alone and isolated in our struggle with food, with gym, with our bodies, anything, right? Your self-talk. And I think so many of us can like really relate to each other and just don't know it yet. And that's something that I'm trying to build and bridge more, is just conversations like this and building more community in this, because like we are the change, and it's our responsibility to break the cycle. And I think a lot of us do want more and do want to change, but just don't know how and are scared. And I understand, because fear kept me stuck for such a long time. Fear still sometimes keeps me stuck. Like, this has been something I've been wanting to do and just felt like it had to look a certain way or be perfectly put together or perfectly planned, where the best thing to do, like when you're feeling anxious, is just to jump in and do something. Like, action absorbs anxiety. And this was like, again, I just wanted to set my mic up and just talk to you guys, and whatever comes out, not feeling like it has to be perfect, because that was like the mode that I operated in for so long. And just as someone that really took like my value from my productivity and what I was doing, and just needing to like have everything look a certain way before I could post it. Before, I was so like insecure about what I was putting out there, because again, I felt like I needed to be validated by the way that I looked, or like my work ethic, or my discipline, or whatever, or now I just want to find my people. And it's okay if like I'm not for everyone, and if what I'm saying doesn't resonate with you, that is okay. But even if there's one person out there that can listen to this and feel like they are not alone, that is like everything. And I want to talk like this more, and I want to have more conversations like this. And second is like, you can have freedom, you can find peace with food. You're not supposed to think about food or your body or the scale or how much you weigh 24/7. And just from someone who like that was my life all of the time, I can understand how consuming it is, and also how like easy it is to be consumed by it. But it's just like, I challenge you guys to really look at what you are trying to gain from losing this weight, and if what you're doing right now really feels good, if it's really serving you, if it really is bringing you closer to your goals, but like, how does it make you feel, not only physically but mentally? And I think it's really easy for us to compare to older versions of ourselves. Like, I can look back at when I was my smallest and be like, damn, it would be really nice to be that shredded, right? But it's like, no, because I didn't have the mental to match it, and the habits that I had at that time are not sustainable, because I clearly would be in that body still if those things that I were doing like made sense for my life. And I feel like now I'm in a place where I really know what feels good for my life and what makes sense for me. I listen to my body, and it takes time, y'all. Like, it really takes time, and you can do it. You have to be open to it, and you have to be committed to it. It's a lot of unwiring to rewire. I always say it's like an old hard drive that you have to just be able to completely reset, but just knowing that when you reset it, you get to keep it for life. And it really, like, that's, I think, where I'm so trying to push people to join coaching with me, or to just let go of dieting, where it's like, we're so easy to follow the next diet, or just even go back to a diet that maybe worked but didn't work for us long term, or didn't actually give us the results. But yet we're so scared to like really look at what is causing us, again, to want to be this person that lives in this type of a body, or this size, or this weight. And that's really uncomfortable, because there's hard days where I would normally want to go and like disassociate in the gym, or disassociate through food, or use it as a coping mechanism, or emotionally eat, right? Where now I don't harm myself in those ways anymore, and I don't like see the smoke, and I see through like the smoke and mirrors of what food and exercise was doing for me at the time. And just, if the gym went away tomorrow, if like you were not able to have the luxury to spend money on food, and like have food as this like coping mechanism, tool, crutch, and resource, like what would you do to get through it, And that was something that like I had a really hard time with, because it had me sit with those uncomfortable feelings, and I still sometimes have to sit with those uncomfortable feelings. But like, I can understand what I was trying to get from it at the time, but it like takes you going through it to now be able to reflect back and see it. But I guess that's kind of like all I really wanted to talk about today. I hope that I was able to just paint like a little bit of a better picture for you guys, because I think people will see me now where I am, and maybe not think that I've had the journey that I've had, or just, I don't know, like I said, I've had like a lot of different waves in a short amount of time in my life. But it's because like I'm kind of someone that just like tries it, keeps it moving, keeps it moving. And I do really like to put myself out there. And I hope that like if you're watching this right now, you feel like you are being seen, and that you matter, and that you're important, and that I'm giving you some sort of hope or belief in yourself that you can have this for yourself too. And like, I'm not special. And that's really what, like, I don't mean that in a deprecating way, but just in like if I can do it, you can do it kind of a way. And just knowing that like you deserve more, and you are worthy worthy of more and you're capable of more. And yes, this is hard, but like choose your hard. And also nothing changes if nothing changes. So you are responsible for like now breaking the cycle. You are aware, you know, that diet culture is rampant and that these standards are so unrealistic and that people are miserable and people are hating their bodies when like we really don't have to, and are put into this box of like what we should look like in order to be hot, cool, sexy, loved, validated, whatever. And you being you is the hottest, and you leaning into your uniqueness is the hottest, and individuality is hot and sexy, and you taking care of yourself and fueling your body, that's hot and sexy to me. So I hope that y'all have an amazing rest of your day. Thanks for listening, and talk to you later. Bye.